Which way of manifesting is better? Being ecstatically happy and high all the time, or being coolly neutral and just knowing that it's yours? Let's talk about this. Hi, I'm Rosie Blythe. I'm the author of the Princess Guide to Life book series, and on this channel we talk about everything from manifestation to books to finances to everything in between. Today I wanted to talk about two different methods of manifestation. One is maybe more associated with the law of attraction and getting into a high frequency, and the other one is maybe a little bit more associated with the law of assumption and just knowing that you have the thing. But it doesn't really matter which belief system you have, people mix and match, because I think it's all about finding techniques that work best for you. So I think for a long time people believed that to manifest something you had to get really happy and really high all the time to get it. You had to be as happy as you would be if you won the lottery, married your soulmate, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. And I think people now are coming around to the idea of when you have something, you're probably not that excited about it. You're probably fairly calm and neutral about it. So there's a lot more talk of you've just got to almost be bored by the thing. Like, yeah, I've got it. Yeah, whatever. So one example would be if you are trying to manifest a specific person, an SP, let's say it's your ex who has you blocked on social media, who hates you. If they texted and said, hey, can we get together for coffee? You would probably be ecstatic, jumping up and down like, yes, finally, it's happening. If you were married to that person and had been for like 10 years, if they texted you, you probably wouldn't be that excited. It would probably be, a text like, can you pick up milk on your way home? And you'd be like, yeah, whatever. It's all very mundane. So this practice of feeling neutral is just tapping into that and saying, you wouldn't be that excited about this stuff. If you're a billionaire, you probably wouldn't be that excited to fly first class or on your private jet. It would just be a method of getting from A to B. And it might even be like, annoying, like, have to get from Paris to New York today, boring. But if you have never travelled outside of your hometown, the idea of going from Paris to New York on a private jet would be like the most thrilling thing ever, right? So I do understand this logic and I agree with it, but I have to point out that for some of us, getting into a more excited mode is just more in keeping with our characters. So like for me, I don't travel that much these days, but at one point I was travelling a lot. And every single time I got on a plane, I got a little bit excited. It was still like, ooh, get to watch a movie, get my little meal. And I just took pleasure in those really mundane things, even though they were actually mundane to me. I was just like, this is fun, going somewhere, this is exciting. Another example is people always say, you're not excited about your car because you know it's there, or your phone because you just have it and you use it every day and it's not exciting. But that's a choice. You could choose to be excited about your car and your phone if you wanted to. I have to say, my car is nothing special. It's an old Nissan Micra. I could get a newer one, but I like my old one. When you come out of somewhere and you're looking like, where did I park? When I spot my car, I always think, oh, that's really cute. It pleases me to see it. It's just aesthetically pleasing. And I think just taking little moments like that in your life where you just do appreciate the things that you have is a way to make yourself just feel happier. And surely that's what we're aiming for, isn't it? And it's like our phones, we completely take them for granted even though we have our lives on them. Have you ever had that experience of either losing your phone or getting it wet and you have to put it in the airing cupboard with, in rice, and you're hoping and praying it's going to come back to life? The moment it comes back to life, you're like, oh, I am never going to take this for granted ever again. And of course you do, because it becomes this really mundane part of your life. And I think it's hard to keep up that same level of appreciation and excitement for everything. But if you think about it, there's so many things in your life that at one point you didn't have, you really, really wanted them, and now you have them. So it might be like maybe the place that you live in right now. At one point that was like an ad that you saw. You're like, oh, that looks like the perfect place. Maybe you fill out the form and there are loads of other people in competition. You're like, oh, I must get this place. It's going to be so perfect. And you start dreaming about it and then you get it and now you live there and it's just like the place that you live. And it's just mundane. Partner you have, the job that you have, the level of education you've attained, or whatever it is, at one point that was your ambition and now you have it. Do you remain that excited about it? And I think most of us don't. But I think it's a really good idea to actually cultivate that sense of excitement. So I've got a little exercise that we can do to see how we really feel about excitement versus neutrality. So I want you to imagine hugging somebody that you can hug anytime you want. So somebody that you have full access to and consent from. So not like an SP that you would love to hug if you could get your hands on them, but you can't because they don't really know you or they don't like you or whatever. But somebody who you're close to, who like anytime you want, you could just be like, hey, give me a hug. So like it might be your partner, it might be your child, it might be your pet, it might be a parent or a sibling or a good friend, but just somebody that you really love to hug. And I want you to imagine just taking them in your arms, holding them, giving them a big squeeze. Do you feel neutral about that? Do you just think to yourself, I can hug them anytime, it's nothing special, doesn't really do anything for me? Or do you think like, oh, that's really nice, I love hugging them, I love the way they feel, I love their smell, I've got all the endorphins rushing. Like, I hope that you feel good when you hug the person that you really like hugging. I hope that you don't think, whatever. And I think this sort of like, this idea that anything you have, you probably feel a bit meh about, I don't think that's actually true. I think maybe that is true for some people, I don't know, maybe some people are just more low-key. But it's not a bad thing to feel excited about stuff in your life that you have. Isn't that kind of the point, that we're manifesting stuff that we do feel excited about, that we do want? Like, do you really want to get to the point where you're manifesting anything that you choose to manifest, but you don't feel anything for any of it because you're dead inside? And it's funny to me that we make assumptions about how certain people feel or how we would feel in that situation when we don't know, because you might say, well, Kim Kardashian, she is very rich. She can go shopping and spend money on whatever she wants. She can do all this stuff. She's probably not that excited about it. So I'm going to aim for a feeling of like cool, neutral, like, oh, this is so mundane, do it all the time. But you don't know that that's how she feels. Maybe she still feels really excited about going on a shopping spree. Maybe she still gets a little thrill every time she orders something online. Who knows? So for me, this argument that you would feel neutral about stuff when it becomes your everyday life, I don't think it's true. I think a lot of people feel excited about their everyday lives. That's probably why they're having such a great life, is because they're excited about it. Like if you look at someone who's obviously manifested their dream life, Taylor Swift, for instance. She has riches beyond most of our wildest dreams. She plays to I don't know how many thousands of people. She's doing exactly what she was put on earth to do, writing songs and performing. You know, do you think she feels neutral about going out on stage every night? Do you think she's like, did it last night, do it every night, boring now? Or do you think she gets really excited and like, yes, I'm getting to do this amazing thing? Like, I'm sure she has times where she's tired, or she doesn't feel very well, or she's a bit like, oh, not this song again, I'm so sick of this one. But everyone like has those days when I'm pretty sure she still feels a level of excitement about that. So when people say you wouldn't be that excited about something once you've had it for a few years, I'm always kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, I can go to the library anytime I like, but I went yesterday, I've got 4 new books to read, I'm excited about that. And it's like when I get together with my friends, I'm excited to see them. It's a really nice thing. I'm not just like, it's my friends, yeah, it's completely ordinary to see them. I just don't feel like that. But I get it that other people do, because maybe some people are just more low-key and it's different kinds of people. And there are so many things that determine what kind of person you are. You know, it's like genetics and the kind of family culture you grow up in. Like if you grow up in a family where nothing is really made much fuss of, then maybe getting really excited about stuff isn't going to feel that natural to you. But if you come from a family culture where you do get excited and it's like, hey, it's Friday night, that means it's pizza night, we're going to have a picnic on the living room floor and we're going to celebrate because you got an A on your English test, you're going to be more in that mode of like, yeah, we're going to celebrate every little thing and we're going to get excited about small stuff. So Hippocrates back in the day came up with these 4 temperaments. So there's choleric, there's sanguine, there's phlegmatic, and there is melancholy. So that's another thing that may determine what kind of technique works best for you. You probably already know whether excitement feels more natural to you than feeling cool and neutral. But for instance, like a melancholy person, it's probably not going to feel very natural to try and hype yourself up to be like, woo, won the lottery, yay. A sanguine person, that's excitement is kind of their default setting. So that's going to feel really natural to be like, yeah, of course, if I was going to win the lottery, I'd be jumping up and down. So I guess the question is, which one works better? And I think this is entirely down to what kind of person you are and what works best for you. Because for some people, excitement is going to work. Like, I have definitely manifested big things by being excited about them, you know, like big sums of money out of nowhere. I've been like, yeah, I'm going to manifest this. The funny thing is, when that actually has worked and I have manifested money, when I get it, I just kind of go, oh, right, okay, cool, I got the money. I don't jump up and down and run around screaming. So it's a weird kind of inverse reaction. And I wonder, like, the people who manifest through feeling neutral and like, yeah, got money, yeah, whatever. Like, do they, when they actually get it, do they get really excited? Let me know in the comments, like, which technique you use and which reaction you have. We look at these two methods side by side. If you're trying to manifest winning the lottery, for instance, the excitement technique would be, you might imagine that moment of realizing that you've won, like looking at the ticket and matching the numbers, being, oh, the thrill that you would feel. But if you're going for more of a neutral technique, you might picture yourself a year into the future where you're like, oh yeah, I won the lottery a while ago. And now having that much money is just completely ordinary to me. Like, it's not a big deal. I can barely remember what it feels like to not have loads of money. So we know either technique can work, and it's just kind of which one suits you better, which one feels more natural to you. Let's say, for instance, if you are trying to manifest winning a gold medal at the Olympics. So you could project yourself into the future and be like, oh yeah, I've got a medal. Did you see it hanging up in the bathroom? Yeah, won that a couple of years ago. Yeah, triple vault or whatever. I don't know the names of sports. Like, how powerful that would be compared with picturing yourself like walking up to the podium, having that medal placed around your neck, or whatever they do. I haven't really watched it. I think a way to make this feel neutral and natural would be, if you are trying to picture yourself getting a medal, watching the crowds cheer, the way to make that feel neutral to you would be to play it over and over and over in your head, so that in the end it just feels normal. You feel like you've done it a million times. And I've certainly experienced this. I remember when I was writing The Princess Guide to Life, you know, that process, it took about 2 years from the beginning to actually being published. And I can remember there were times where I would picture myself pressing send, like it's done. Because there were times where I couldn't imagine that. I was just like, that just feels so far away right now, but I'm just going to keep picturing it. And I pictured it so many times that when that moment actually came, it did just feel really neutral. I would just like press send, like, oh, okay, I guess that's done then. And it was almost like I'd hyped it up so much that it was like that thing again of, the more excited I got, the more neutral it felt in the actual moment. But I think because I'd played that moment over and over again in my head so much that it felt completely normal, even at the point where it was just like this unattainable goal. I could not imagine how I was going to get there, and I did. I got there. And it's like, the more unattainable something seems, the more playing it over and over again in your head is the only way that you're going to get to the point where it does feel natural. And there are times when one method is going to be much more appropriate than the other. Like, for instance, I wouldn't suggest trying to get yourself into a state of feverish excitement just as you're going to sleep. Obviously, it's going to be much better to feel very calm and like, oh yes, I have this thing that I want. I'm going to sleep in my penthouse apartment. It's so boring. It's so mundane. It's so ordinary. Like, that's going to work much better than being like, oh, I'm so excited to be in my penthouse apartment right now. Like, no, you need to just be like, yeah. It is mundane. It is normal. It is natural for me to go to sleep here. Of course it is. So one secret of manifestation that people tend not to dwell on is the letting go part. And I think these two methods actually offer two different ways to let go. So if you get yourself into a state of high excitement and high joy and everything, it's almost like you end up, the fantasy of the thing that you have is making you feel so good, you don't even need it anymore. It's like, why would I need to do that thing? Because I'm as happy right now as I would be if I was doing it. So like, my happiness is real, even though the experience is all in my head. And then the neutral method is, you've basically convinced yourself that it is no big deal to have that thing. It's like, it's not this thing that you're trying to attain. It's not like, oh, that thing's going to make me so happy. It's just like, yeah, I have it. Yeah, I have it already. It's fine. It's almost like there was just two different ways of letting go. And which technique, which course of action works for you will depend entirely on the kind of person that you are. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for liking the video, and thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.